What's up, everyone? It's time for Cooking with Jeff again. This time today it's Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes, some gravy for the Salisbury steaks and the potatoes, and some good old roasted Brussels sprouts. But first we add some Worcestershire sauce to that, and we add some dark soy sauce also, so don't really need much else salty in there. That'll take care of it. And go ahead and add some minced garlic to that as well. About a little bit over a teaspoon, probably, I'd say. A little bit of chopped parsley. A little bit of minced onion. And we got water and cornstarch slurry we gotta add to that, so gonna have to whisk it up because I let it sit too long. Alright, once we bring that back to life there, we're going to go ahead and add that in there, all of it. It's about a cup and a half, I'd say. What that does, it's going to help thicken the gravy while it's cooking. It's not going to get too thick like it would if I did like a roux in it or something, but that's kind of how I want it, because Salisbury steak shouldn't be, like the gravy for it shouldn't be as thick as, like, say your average mashed potato gravy or something. And also in that pot there I got about 7 potatoes. I quartered them all up and I threw them in there and just get them boiling. So just kind of leave those going as I'm cooking, and then we're adding a little bit of half and half to that gravy as well there. Just a good little splash. Helps kind of make it a little nicer in my opinion. And now we're going to season the beef here. We're going to add some of this garlic again, about a tablespoon, maybe like a tablespoon and a half, I'd say. We're going to hit it with some of the minced onion also. About the same amount as the garlic. And of course we'll give it some chopped parsley. And I'm going to put some A1 sauce in there. Say that's about a teaspoon. And splash some Worcestershire sauce in there. A nice little bit of mustard and some ketchup. Then we just go ahead and mix it all up. Also, when you're mixing it, if you want to try to do this at home, at least this is the way I am, I don't really grip it too hard and stuff. I just really kind of just try to get the ingredients spread throughout, and it leads to a much more tender Salisbury steak that way. Also, same for burgers too, so. Alright, now we form our patties for the Salisbury steaks. I like to make mine kind of thicker, you know, instead of thin. Like if you buy a frozen one, it's usually like thin looking. So I make mine nice and fat. Alright, that out of my way. Give the hands a good wash after touching the raw beef. Alright, get our Brussels sprouts ready to put in the oven. I got the oven preheated to 425. Then I just hit them with some olive oil and some salt and pepper. And give them a nice little mix around there. Make sure all the Brussels sprouts are coated really good so they don't stick to the dish I use. And also it helps them cook better, so it's a win-win. You don't have to do this, but I did. I just added some of this minced onion in there too because I had a lot, so I just worked that in there too. Try not to have onion hands. We're going to go ahead and get out our dish that we're going to use to put our Brussels sprouts in for roasting. So I like to use this clear casserole dish for this because you can see the bottom and the sides of it and stuff, not just the top. Like if you use a metal dish, all you can see really is the top. And it's better for judging the doneness. So we go ahead and use that and just get them into a nice single layer there with a little shake and pop them right in the oven. And that's 425 for about 40 minutes, maybe a little less depending. Our gravy a whisk. Make sure it stays nice and mixed and nothing's falling to the bottom and sticking to the pan. Alright, we're going to start cooking our Salisbury steaks too, so we get some olive oil in that pan, which is preheated to about, I'd say, medium-high would be a good one. Toss them right in there. And with mine, I'm not going for a sear on the side. I just want them to get cooked and render out some of the fat in the pan for when I start cooking my mushrooms for the gravy. So that's what I'm doing with these steaks, and it gives them a little cook too, but nothing too much. And a little bit of a press just to kind of help them stay together a little bit. And that's the only time I do that. You never want to do that too much, especially with a burger. Just continue cooking them just so where that fat starts coming out, and then give them a good flip, and you can let them cook a little more. See how there's not much of a sear on the side. Also, since we're going to be cooking these in gravy, a crust really isn't going to do much good in there because it's just going to soften up because of the gravy. So if you want to add any kind of flavor with any kind of crust, maybe just give it like a grill or something. That would probably be good. And that would at least add the flavor, but you're not going to it's not going to stay like a hard crust on there if you cook it in the gravy like this. So again, just do it for the fat and a little bit of pre-cooked you know, just to help it. Also, the Salisbury steaks are made with ground chuck, so that's why there's quite a bit of fat rendering into the pan, which is what you need for a good gravy and, you know, stuff like that. So. And then I put in these button mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms, and we're just going to saute them in that. Just want to get them to where they're getting that nice sweated out look. You know, they're cooked a little ways. They're going to cook the rest of the way in the gravy, so you don't have to completely cook them. Keep that gravy nice and whisked. There you go. Now those are about the color you want them to be. I'm just going to give them a nice little mix up there. Go ahead and whisk the gravy a little bit, and then we're going to pour it right over that, and there you go. Mushroom gravy is now pretty much complete, and we're just going to let our steaks cook in that. Alright, we got all three set in there. I'm just going to go ahead and spoon over the gravy over those patties. Make sure they're covered real good. And we're just going to keep that at about a little lower than medium so it stays on a nice simmer, and let the Salisbury steaks cook out the rest of the way. And that usually takes about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, you know, because it's not that big of a piece. It won't take that long. Alright, the Brussels sprouts should be done right now. Look at it nice and roasted there. That's the color you want to see on them. And now time to mash our potatoes that have been sitting there boiling and just staying hot the whole time. Just strain them out, get all that water out of there. I'm going to throw them right back in the pot. I'm going to add to it a little bit of chopped parsley, some salt and pepper, of course. Got to make sure they're seasoned. I add some cream. I'd say I added about half a cup there. And there's about a quarter cup of butter. You can use vegetable spread if you want or whatever. Doesn't matter, it'll work. And we just gotta mash them. Make sure you mash them real good. I like red potatoes for mashed potatoes. The skin, I like having the skin in there. I like it. Now we're going to use the fork here and keep adding cream until they get as nice and as smooth and fluffy as we want. So you just work that in and just keep stirring basically and kind of mashing at the same time. Just kind of, basically you're taking swipes at them with your fork. Take myself a little taste there. And they're done. Ta-da! Now that that's been simmering for a while, we're going to go ahead and take off the cover because those should be done. And it's time to plate them up. I'm just checking to make sure everything comes out good. Yeah. And take our plate. Gonna hit it with some mashed potatoes first. Take a nice generous helping. I personally love mashed potatoes, so. Go ahead and grab one of our Salisburys. That right on top of the mash. I had to grab my Brussels sprouts back out of the oven. I just put them in there to keep them warm at a nice low temp, so grab them out. And just grab them out and place them on the plate like so. They aren't very hot right now, so it's easy to touch them. They're just nice and warm. So, and just set them around the perimeter of the mash and the Salisbury. Go ahead and hit it with a nice scoop of gravy there. Gravy! Put some mushrooms on it, just drop them over it, let them fall wherever, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you get some on the top like so. Alright, then we just hit it with some more chopped parsley on the top for a little garnish. And voila, you have yourself a Salisbury steak. That is absolutely delicious.